Good morning on this rainy day, and thanks to the organizers for inviting me. Um, we're talking about building inclusive AI for India, empowering citizens. So, when we speak of better governance, we often visualize big infrastructure projects, complex finance, or legal reforms. So, I'll concentrate a little bit at FSSAI because I'm here right now. Where governance touches the most intimate aspects of a citizen's life, which is food on your plate. And this has been done for thousands and thousands of years. So, human beings have been having food. Whether in the future they will have food, one doesn't know. Given the way technology is changing, one never knows. But for this a long time, especially in the recent past, regulation was a one-way street where rules were made in a closed room and simply enforced on the ground. But in this age of digital public infrastructure with AI and to govern a country as diverse as India, we are now moving away from the physical manual to managing digital flows information. So now we have so much of information, so much of data that the major challenge is to manage that information. So, for example, in FSSAI, we have around 3.5 crore interactions in the last 1 year. That means we have 3.5 crore data. So the data could be anything. It could be a form of a license. It could be an ingredient. It could be a consumption by any citizen. So every single one of these interactions is a digital footprint. So when we aggregate these crores of footprints, we don't just get a statistic. We get a pattern, and that is where AI has really helped us. Where we have now shifted from a reactive enforcement to a predictive management, where hopefully we'll be able to spot the risk before it spreads. Although we aren't the only ones making this shift, globally regulators are using AI in many ways, whether it be predicting risks at the border when imports and exports are taking place, assigning inspections on a risk based system, a smarter system so that neither the inspector nor the inspected body know when the inspection will take place. Using cameras for surveillance, although that is a double-edged sword with AI, there's much more surveillance, and automating document reviews. So I'll just give a few examples of international and then we'll come to our national Indian context. So the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, for example, uses establishment-based risk assessment, which we have also adopted, where they analyze historical data, move away from random checks, and begin calculating mathematical risk scores. So everyone has a risk score, like for example, credit risk score. Now many citizens have. So we have a risk score for food factories. So where we can predict which facilities are likely to fail compliance based on data. Similarly, the US FDA has addressed the challenge of scale, especially regarding imports. While analyzing seafood shipments, they look at the supplier history, and the model successfully predicted which containers would be more likely to have contaminated products. Similarly, in China, in cities like Shenzhen, regulators have implemented smart supervision using AI-enabled cameras directly in the kitchens of restaurants and hotels. So these examples are just, the examples which we are also adopting, and we are also trying to use this data to make things less complicated and simpler for the consumer. So this allows also for rapid exchange of risk information across the globe. So it has helped us identify risks before they enter our borders, especially for the products that are coming from outside. So we have targeted over around 21,000 visits, which we feel are more risky. So it becomes easier to inspect, it becomes less cumbersome, there are less number of delays for the importers and and for our exporters also when they export abroad. So we have a platform. Our platform is called FOSCOS, which basically stands for Food Safety Compliance, where we handle about more than a crore visits per day. So these could be anyone, many consumers, it could be food vendors, street food vendors, and the large food manufacturers. We use this data to remove any human bias from the system, and especially it becomes helpful, as mentioned earlier, in inspections. So the AI for inclusion, which is the main theme, in a democracy, the process of making a law is as important as the law itself. So we have many regulations where we regulate what are the limits for contaminants like pesticides or antibiotics. What are the ingredients in a any food where where you have high sugar or high salt or high saturated fat? Which are those products? So we try to use technology to bridge the gap between the food manufacturer, regulator, and the consumer. So we also launched a national stakeholder consultation portal where there's last mile participation. So a person in a remote village in Tamil Nadu could also access the portal and give his views on the portal. The response has been humbling. We in this particular stakeholder portal, we have about 5 lakh visitors, and who are very actively engaged us on the portal. We are working on integrating LLMs into this portal. And when we receive thousands of comments on a draft regulation, we normally, whenever we take out any regulation, giving a limit or the ingredient, which a new ingredient nowadays, there are many lab-made ingredients coming. So they are all new ingredients which we have to test to see whether they are safe. So when we issue a draft regulation, we get a lot, many comments. So AI helps us to summarize all these comments because it's humanly impossible to go through thousands and lakhs of comments. So our commitment, however, is to empowering citizens extends beyond portals to where the people actually are. We get a lot of flack on social media. Some of it I would not disagree with, but some of it is there's not enough research being put into it. For example, today there was a post on LinkedIn in which someone posted about Dabur Chyawanprash and compared it to Coca-Cola, saying that it is more harmful than Coca-Cola. Now, there are two things in this. One is Chyawanprash is, I'm not, I mean, I'm in FSSAI, so I say we do not regulate Ayurvedic products, that is regulated by the Ministry of Ayush. So, I think the person posted it should have done that amount of research. Secondly, normally you have a Chyawanprash, you have a spoon, a teaspoon. While Coca-Cola, you have a bottle. So, you can't compare Chyawanprash with Coca-Cola. Then Chyawanprash also has a lot of other herbs and ingredients like amla, etc., which offset the value of sugar. And sugar is needed to mix it to give it more effect. Well, Coca-Cola or any sweetened drink, I wouldn't want to take names, but any sweetened drink has just sugar and water and flour. So, so on social media we get a lot of flack, but a lot of the flag, I would agree with, a lot of the flag is misplaced. So AI can help. I mean, if the person posting can just use a simple chat GPT tool or Gemini or a very, very simple tools which are easily available, you can be better informed about that. The other thing is a lot of the enforcement and a lot of the licensing is done in the states. So it's done by the state government. So again, you have the license number. You can our website, and I think any AI tool will be able to give you that who and when was this particular license issue. So we have about 600,000 followers now on Instagram. That is the latest thing now. But someone was telling me that that is also getting replaced. And so we engaged over around 350,000 followers. On Twitter, we engage with about 125,000 followers, and on LinkedIn with around 62,000 followers. So AI helps us also to see what is trending on social media, because that is now a big means of communication, something we have to accept. So how do we address any genuine complaints, and how do we also break a lot of myths? We are also using data and AI to enhance our campaigns like Eat Right India. So Eat Right India, we have a thali, and now we have a thali state-wise. So each state, we have to see what a citizen should eat. So how much of protein you should eat, how much of carbohydrate, how much of fat, how much of vitamins. So that is there in that thali. So we have used AI to analyze this also, and the sentiment on these the feedback that we get. Although we still have a long way to go. The biggest challenge we face is structured data. We sit on millions of PDF lab reports. We have about 200 plus labs, another 300 food safety trucks. So we have lakhs and lakhs of testing data, and this data is kind of trapped because we have. I mean, we plan to, but we have not yet been able to use AI to analyze the data. So we need suitable AI models to read these reports, which are lying at various levels and layers, and give us actual analytical report. For example, we would like to know that why is milk from a specific district failing tests every Tuesday. So we have this wealth of information, which I'm sure AI can be used and for the benefit of the citizen, because the main impact or the main utility of AI is how can it benefit the citizen. So so in a similar vein, the objective of FSSAI's digital transformation, be it through our portals or through our AI initiatives, is to compel every stakeholder, from the manufacturer to the consumer, to think about the food you're eating, to engage with the process, and to assume ownership of the outcome. Thank you.